Hello, everybody. Well, we finally made it. Stanley Cup Finals are over. Welcome back to the Snipe Score podcast. Today, we're talking about the Florida Panthers. Those cats going back to back. Florida running hockey, 6 years, 5 cups. I'd say it's pretty darn good, or not 5 cups. Excuse me, 4 cups. My bad. They went to six straight. Tampa and Florida. Among that, off-season draft next week, next Friday, and then free agency starts the great July here. But we got some transactions and other stuff we got to talk about before that. We'll kick it over to Sean.
Yeah, when was the last time you saw a team from the East make it to the Stanley Cup that wasn't from Florida? Boston. The answer
That
is
would have
Boston.
No, it's not.
Well, 2019, right?
2020. Well, no, it's a lie because technically Tampa made it that year too.
Right, right.
It might have
Last,
been.
yeah, last team to make it from the East, right?
Would have been
Wasn't from
Boston?
Florida. Yeah, Boston. But who was it before Boston?
Was it Washington?
Washington, baby, let's go! Yes, sir. Last team to, besides Boston and any team in Florida to make it from the East was Washington.
You're I was gonna say because
Oddly enough.
Montreal was because technically Montreal was like a Canadian conference team.
Yeah,
So
I
yeah,
yeah 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 I, yeah yeah I forgot 2020 was really weird. So
technically,
okay,
technically,
you know what? I guess you can say Montreal. Okay, I forgot about that. Boo. Whatever. Anyway.
Canada doesn't get another cup. Oh, good lord! Oh, those. Oh man.
Yeah, how about
Yeah,
those
but I
Cats,
mean,
man? That is crazy to think about, though. They had the best trade deadline acquisition in recent memory in Brad Marchand. He might stay for cheap this offseason. That's to be determined. I'm really curious about their offseason because if everyone comes back for cheap, including Sam Bennett, Marchand, and all of them, man, they're going to be pretty tough to play for a while. Like a
four
while.
straight cups.
They were easily the best team in the playoffs, but funny enough, coming into it, everyone's like, yeah, there's no way they go back. There's no way they're going to make it for a third
No.
time because they didn't look very good at the end of the regular season. Maybe part of that was due to injury. But then you look at them play in the playoffs, and they're absolutely unstoppable. They got hot at the right time, and I'm very curious to see what they do again next year because I think they're probably going to be the favorites once the playoffs roll around again next year to make the cup again. It'll be very, very interesting.
I actually I did have Florida going to the Cup final in my bracket, but I didn't think they'd win it. And then as soon as I saw the round one go through, I'm like, yeah, Florida's gonna go back to back. Like this team's just built. But before we go talk about the Panthers upsetting the Oilers again, this time in 6 games instead of 7, we got some transactions to talk about since it's been a long time since we talked to you lovely people, and that means the NHL has been busy, especially with the offseason being now officially upon us. We're going to start off on June 3rd. Flyers signed left winger Noah Cates to a 4-year, $16 million contract extension. Cates, he put up 37 points this past year. I think it's a good deal for the Flyers. He's a young winger. He's got a chance to grow. And one of the more surprising deals here on June 5th, Brock Nelson re-ups with the Avalanche, something I did not see coming on a 3-year, $22.5
Mm-hmm.
million contract. He put up, I believe, check my stats here. Thanks, Taki Reference shout out. He put up 56 points in 80 games between the Islanders and Abs. So I guess it makes that trade look a little better. We all kind of thought he was only going to be a one and done,
Yeah,
and it looked really bad since he got knocked out in the first round. But he re-ups for 3 more years, and the reports are they're not looking to trade anybody out. A lot of reports saying that Coyle might be on the move, but it appears not to be the move for Joe Sakic and them up there. Um, and then our first big trade of the offseason, and it was rumored for days, but on June 12th, Chris Kreider, longtime Ranger, heart and soul of the Rangers for the past decade, is traded to Anaheim for a fifth round pick or a fourth round pick that was originally the Rangers and, or excuse me, the Rangers, it was Kreider and a fourth round pick this year, traded for Terrence Casey, I believe he's a prospect, and a third round pick this year. Kreider did not have a good season. He had 30 points. I believe in 68 games, just was not good along with the Rangers. Yeah, it's gonna be weird seeing him in a different jersey next year
yeah, definitely.
for sure. Just pretty much a cap dump for the Rangers, but they needed it because they got a lot of guys they got to sign. So far, I think this is my opinion the best deal of the offseason so far. I mean, out of extension wise, Chicago signs Ryan Donato, center, 4 years, $4 million per, 60 million total. I think it's an excellent move. He was a great scoring piece for them, and they need it. He scored 62 points in 80 games last year. He was phenomenal. Scored 30 last year. I think it's an excellent move for Chicago. They didn't deal him at the deadline, which a lot of people thought he'd be one of the bigger trade pieces, but it ends up re-upping with Chicago, and I think it's a really excellent value for him, especially if he can continue that kind of pace alongside Bedard and probably some other guys are going to bring in during the offseason. Um,
So the first thing I want to talk about is Noah Cates. That's kind of a no-brainer. Young guy. Flyers need to re-sign him. They need youth. I think they have plenty of it. They just need to put it all together now. You mentioned Chris Kreider. Um, what is with the Anaheim Ducks helping out the New York Rangers with their cap situation? First it was
second
Trouba,
one.
now Kreider. I think it's that's kind of funny. But Ducks need a veteran presence. I guess that's what he's going to bring. But man, that's not going to look pretty on the cap table for the next 2 years. I know the cap's going up, which I guess helps a little bit, but we'll see what he can do. I wasn't really a huge fan of the Trouba trade, and I'm not sure how much I'm a fan of the Kreider trade either. What did New York get in return again? I forgot.
They gave up a Kreider and a fourth round pick this year for Carey Terrence and a third round pick
Terrence,
this year.
yes, the prospect. Okay, yes. So
Pretty sure he's a prospect defender.
yes, he is a defender. Yeah. So when they traded for Kreider, I was like, yeah, I was a little confused, and then I saw they gave up a prospect for Kreider. I was like, yeah, that was even more of a head scratcher. So I think New York won the trade.
Especially since there's been a lot of rumors about, and just Elliot Friedman, and I'll say that Zach Jones, I think it was Friedman, one of the insiders that we like, not Frank Cervalli, who's a
I wonder where
dumbass.
he's gonna go because his contract's up at wherever he's working now, and I wonder who's gonna
Um,
pick him up. And I'll be interested. But he's
but
good at his job. He's just had a few hiccups here and there.
one of them said that Zach Jones is available, and there's been rumors that Keandre Miller and Braden Schneider have also been kind of in the mix. That's been more predominantly towards JJ Paterka and the Sabres, which is not going to happen. He's going to get signed.
You're so adamant about that.
Um,
Oh man. We'll see, man. I know you don't want to
there's no
read the
adamant about
reports.
it.
We'll see. We'll
The
see.
reports are
We'll see.
the reports are all false.
You can laugh and
The-
point at me next episode, but
here's the report, ladies and gentlemen. This is what the truth is. Nothing but the truth. You heard it from me first. I know everything about the Sabres. Don't question me. The reports are, and I trust Elliot Friedman on this, is that they are now taking offer. They are listening for offers on him. But big butt, huge butt, fat butt. They are not interested in trading him. All signs point to them re-signing him, probably toward maybe a short-term deal. Might be what he might be looking towards more because he reports he's not happy. But short-term deal, high AAV, make him happy, win a couple games, make the playoffs, he'll be happy, sign a long-term extension. But JJ Paterka is not going anywhere, especially to that dog shit place in the city that has nothing in value that we want. So, Ranger fans, I'm sorry, not really. You're not getting Paterka. But no, JJ's not going anywhere, and they continue this tear down, and it's been rumored that Mika Zibanejad's going to be in the move, and Aaron's a free agent next year. New York Rangers are, and I heard rumors, reports that a lot of players are not happy with Drury. But we'll see what this Ranger team does. I'm not very optimistic for this team in general. I think that they need to stop trying to retool and rebuild, and they just need to blow it all up and start from scratch here.
I
Because
disagree.
everything,
I think they have a fine team. I think it was a coaching problem. And I think now that they have Mike Sullivan, I think they're going to be a lot better than you think. I know they have the pieces. They just need to put it all together. They are a young team. They're a talented team. I do think they can make the playoffs next year. I don't think that's a stretch to stay. I don't think that's a stretch
I
to
would
stay at
hope
all.
I would hope that that's what would happen. That should be the expectation next year for Ranger fans, no matter what happens in the offseason, unless you go kung pao chicken and blow it up. That should be the expectation is to make the playoffs.
I don't think Drury's a great executive, but I really do
He's
think they had a
awful.
Peter Laviolette problem. I think it was just a Laviolette problem. They're still a good team.
Good one.
I think Mike Sullivan will turn them around.
Good one. But anyway, we got a couple more here to get through, and we'll talk about everything that's one thing everyone wants to talk about playoffs.
Oh, one thing I wanted to add
Eric,
about the transactions. So Ryan Donato, he was rumored to be traded at the deadline, but I guess Chicago really liked him and they showed that. But another move Chicago made was they traded Veleno for Burakovsky. What do you think about that? That was kind of I don't know. I thought that was a loss for each team. I didn't understand the point of that trade whatsoever. So Chicago's acquiring Burakovsky's horrible contract, right? He doesn't really do much. I guess he'll be okay on the bottom six, but for what he's being paid, it's not good at all. And then Seattle, yes, they get rid of Burakovsky, but they get Veleno in return. Is he even that good either? I mean, yes, I think the W for Seattle, right? They get rid of Burakovsky's contract. That's great. So then they get Veleno in return. He'll be, I guess, fine on the bottom six. But if you're Chicago, what's going on? Do they think they can turn around Burakovsky? I don't know. I didn't understand the point of that. I thought that was an L for an L.
No, I think this is a major win for Chicago, and here's why. Yes, you're going to argue contract, and you argue his numbers were bad. I actually have his numbers here. I pulled them up just for case
And
in
they
point
only
here.
get worse. And
Um,
he's only getting older.
Burakovsky had 37 points in 79 games last year, whereas Veleno had 17 points in 74. Then again, Veleno is also still 25, former first round pick. Still got some, maybe he could develop, but not really in Seattle. Burakovsky though, I think it's a big win for Chicago because in Dan Bylsma's system, it's a very defensive heavy system. It's very reliant on defensive systems. That is not Andre Burakovsky's game. He's more of an offensive guy. He'll have that ability to do it in Chicago, especially if they put him alongside Frankie Nazar or Bedard, depending on what they want to do with him. I think he'll score. Hear me out. I think he'll score 20 goals next year. He might be around 30 points, but I think he'll get to 20 goals. And I think he'll have a little bit better of an offensive production year next year, especially having a little bit more offensive freedom, being a little higher in the lineup on a worse team than he was in Seattle, being a little lower on the lineup because they had a little better players. Because the issue with Seattle is right now, and we'll talk about it, because they added another middle six forward. They acquired Mason Marchment from Dallas
Yes.
for a third and a fourth. And I don't understand that logic. Okay, you get tougher, another not great contract. But Mason Marchment is another middle six forward. This team, and I think you can agree with me on this, does not have like a top flight winger.
No.
They got a bunch of good middle six wingers.
Yep.
I mean, Jared McCann had his couple good years, but I think he's starting to finally come back down. They've got too many middle six wingers, and they don't have enough guys that kind of can hit that offensive stride that I can get a guy, he'll get a goal here and there, he'll put up 50 to 60, 70 points, and I can rely on him being the top line with Matty Beniers. Matty Beniers needs help. He's been struggling. He needs help.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And, even before they drafted Beniers, it's been that way. They haven't had like real true top six forward. It's just been a bunch of middle six wingers. I think when they had their expansion draft, they were banking on guys like Yanni Gord and all them to maybe make that jump into the top six. Like
Jaden Schwartz, they signed him.
Yes, kind of make that jump, right? Kind of develop into that top line guy. But they never had that. And that's why I was, I said it at the beginning when we first started this podcast. I don't know why they didn't just follow Vegas's blueprint. Vegas literally, coming into the league just a few years earlier, did it perfectly. They did it perfectly. And the Kraken kind of did their own thing. And I didn't understand that at all because it's not working out at all.
I don't understand why they hired Jason Botterill. He's going to destroy that team. It's already starting.
And their hires have been terrible too. That's a great point you made too.
And we'll see where it goes. I feel bad for him, but we got a couple more here before we get out of here. The Devils traded center Eric Halla to Nashville for Jeremy Hansel and a fourth-round pick. Fabian Zetterlund, acquired by Ottawa at the deadline, signed a 3-year extension worth $12.825 million.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good deal for them.
Yeah, it was a good deal. And actually, so now that you said that reminds me, I know you talked about it before, but I want to talk about it again. I said Colorado lost the Avalanche, I said Colorado lost the Nelson trade because I knew they weren't going to re-sign Nelson in the offseason, but they proved me wrong, and they did re-sign him. So, hey, maybe that trade doesn't look as bad as it does now. Yeah. Because at the time, I was like, well, they used him as a rental, and now they're not getting him back.
Sucked.
But now they are getting him back. So maybe once he finds his footing, maybe he will be good. So I'm not going to put an F on that grade, on that trade just yet. So we'll see what happens. But now that they've re-signed him, I'd be curious to see how he actually does and if that grade goes up.
Right.
And just like Zetterlund, that's a good re-sign.
Zetterlund was a good deal. Mm-hmm. I think he'll flourish in Ottawa. I think he's got that potential. The last couple moves here, Matt Duchene re-ups somehow with Dallas on a 4-year, $18 million extension. I guess they cleared enough cap with Marchment. They got a couple more guys they got to get signed, like Jamie Benn. But the last extension that's been as of right now, Eric Robinson signed a 4-year extension with Carolina after a career, $8.6 million total on that. So those are the recent transactions. If we have anything pop up across when we're doing the rest of our stuff, we'll let you know. But
I have one thing.
Other than that,
I have one thing. You mentioned all these extensions, but you didn't mention the guys that are unfortunately leaving the league. You didn't mention my boy TJ Oshie retiring. TJ Oshie has retired after I don't know how many seasons he's played, but
there's one more guy I forgot we got to add in here that's not leaving, but he's coming back. We'll get to him in a second. But let me say my piece on TJ Oshie. This guy, man, when you talk about best transactions in franchise history, I think the TJ Oshie trade was probably one of the best trades Washington has ever made, like ever. Super happy to have him as a cap. I remember 8 years ago when he signed that extension,
My dad said he was a Cap for life, and he was. Right after the 8-year contract, he retired, and he's been nothing but spectacular for the U.S. and for Washington. Got a cup out of him. He was amazing. I will miss TJ Oshie forever a Cap. Love that guy. Congrats on
TJ
retirement,
Sochi.
TJ.
TJ Sochi. Remember for the
TJ
Olympics.
Sochi, that's right.
It
Love you
just
forever, man.
wonderful. But as we mentioned, I forgot to mention Captain Sirius, Jonathan Taves, after taking an
Oh,
extended
yes.
absence
Yeah.
from the NHL, he is coming back. He is going to sign. Obviously, can't be official until free agent period opens. He's going to sign a 1-year deal worth up to, I believe, $2 million in bonuses with his hometown team. I believe the Winnipeg Jets. Good for them. Good for Taves. Hopefully, he comes back and he's great and fantastic. That would be great for everybody. But let's talk about some more fun stuff. At least fun stuff if you're a Panthers fan. Not so some fun stuff if you're an Oilers fan. Sean, I'll let you lead off here about our finals recap here.
So we mentioned the Marchand acquisition, but I didn't even talk about Seth Jones. Seth Jones was amazing too. Every single thing Bill Zito has done in the last 3 years has been spectacular. I don't know if he's made one bad move. Everyone laughed when they traded for Calgary. Why can't I think of his name? The wing, Kachuk.
Matt Tkachuk.
Kachuk. I don't know why in the world. Well, first of all, I kind of thought the same thing. Like, yeah,
We all did.
they
Trust
got
me.
they gave up too much, but well, it turns out they didn't really give them much at all because
They didn't give up enough.
yeah, they really didn't give up enough, I guess. So the Kachuk trade was amazing. They got Bennett from Calgary too. Calgary had all these guys, and Florida just kind of took them from them, which I thought was pretty funny. But no, everything they've done, everything Bill Zito's done, everything Paul Maurice has done, they've been absolutely fantastic. So can't say enough good things about the Panthers, and they're probably going to have another incredible offseason, even with like little cap space to work with. They're still going to find a way to probably go back to the finals for a 4th year in a row if they play the way they did this past postseason. So yeah, can't say enough good things about the Panthers. They did everything super well, and they deserve to hoist that cup. Man, 2nd year in a row, they're amazing.
Yeah, so as we mentioned, Florida knocks out Edmonton in 6 this year. And from the start of that series, Edmonton won game 1, but that game got taken overtime. Game 2 hit. Marchand has 2 goals, gets the winner. And as soon as game 2 hit, I'm like, man, this is not going to be good for Edmonton. I don't know if you felt that way, but I definitely felt that way. Because it just felt like that game, Florida started playing their brand of hockey again. It was kind of like the
Yes.
Toronto series that came earlier.
Yeah, no,
That
100%.
first game they had a lead and they blew it. And I was like, okay, that's kind of not like Florida. Like they usually get a lead, lock it down, game over, forecheck, back check, paycheck, as a former Leafs prospect, I forgot his name is, said that line. But game 3 happened, and I'm like, this series is over because Florida beat the brakes off of them, and Edmonton was doing Florida stuff, and Florida's sitting there laughing at them because Florida's Florida. And I'm like, it's not good. And then Edmonton answered back in game 4, and I'm like, okay, maybe they got their stuff together. No, Florida beat the brakes off them in Edmonton, and then beat the brakes off them in Florida again. That was that. And to me, I think that the biggest X factor of this series was Bennett and Marchand.
Yeah.
Bennett, Marchand, and Reinhart, especially Sam Reinhart later in that series.
Yeah. The last game
Bennett
too.
Bennett won the Conn Smythe. He had 15 goals, 22 points in 23 games. Reinhart had 4 goals in the last game to knock out Edmonton. And in total during the series, during this entire playoffs, he had 23 points, 11 goals in 21 games. And then Marchand, who had an epic final, he was absolutely fantastic for the Panthers. He was excellent. See, like he scored every game. He had 20 points, 10 goals in 23 games. Like they were just good. And the kind of discrepancy there is that it just felt like for the Oilers, like Corey Perry was scoring a little bit. It felt like they weren't getting enough depth scoring is what I felt like though. Like Perry would score, but not a lot of Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Evander Kane would have a couple, but it felt like outside of maybe Leon Draisaitl, I'm looking at his stats right now for what he did in the playoffs total, but he had 33 points, 11 goals in 22 games. But I just felt like that him and McDavid, especially McDavid, which is really weird to say because Connor last year carried that Oilers team to 7, kicking and screaming.
Mm-hmm.
He only had 7 goals and he had 33 points, which is still absolutely insane in 22 games. He's over like a point like 1.2 a game, which is nuts. but he only scored one goal in the final, and that was in Game 5, I think. Like, it didn't matter. Like, it just they didn't feel like Edmonton did enough, and obviously Stuart Skinner getting left out to dry, but he wasn't great either. And Sergei Bobrovsky did Sergei Bobrovsky things. That was that. It just felt like last year, like you saw Florida go up 3-0, and then Edmonton crawl back, and it's like, oh shit, like actually, like this is gonna be interesting. This year just felt like when Florida got up, it's like, oh, it's done.
Yeah.
Like there wasn't no optimism like last year. It's like, well, Florida's gonna end it this game, and Edmonton comes out and beats their ass. It's like, oh well, Florida's definitely got it now. Like, and no, and even that game 7, they won 2-1. And Edmonton had numerous chances to win it in that third or tie it in that third period. This series, not a chance. They didn't have a chance. And I mean, if you're an Oilers fan, what do they got to do? What do they have to do? I don't know what they have to do over the hump. They had depth this year. Their defense core was really good. Bouchard took that next step offensively.
Mhm.
Defensively, he still needs work, but still, they were good. Jake Wallman was a great addition on the back end at the deadline. But I don't know what you do if you're Edmonton though, because you're not going to get rid of Stuart Skinner, and I don't think anybody was really going to want him if they do. But they need a goaltender. They need
Right,
another
exactly.
guy. Calvin Pickard was excellent for the time that he played, but obviously it showed against Florida that he's a backup goaltender at best. So I don't know. It just, I mean, as I said, I've said it every single episode we've done for the playoffs. Florida's built to play playoff hockey. Palmery's system is built to play playoff hockey. They've
Right.
got guys in there that play that style of game all year. They're built to do it. Edmonton, not so much. And as I said it in the other video, if you can stop the rush from McDavid up the ice and forecheck, you're going to stop the Oilers, and that's what they did because Florida runs that kind of system anyways. And obviously, they took the tape from last year, it's the same system, and just made it better. And obviously, I think this Florida team was better than last year's, which is crazy to think because they had Tarasenko, they had Montour, among other guys that got paid contracts in the offseason that were really good. But it didn't feel like it was close that much, even when the series were tied.
Here's my
The
thing
thing,
about Edmonton. If they're ever going to win a cup, look, they needed some kind of out of body experience from McDavid like he had last year, right?
yeah,
He didn't show that this year.
no,
They need
and they
a top, not even like a top 10 goaltender. They need a top 15 goaltender in the league. Like someone who's at least a little bit better than Skinner.
they need somebody above average.
Yes, exactly. Right. Someone not
Not
Calvin Pickard, not Stuart Skinner. Stuart Skinner was fine, right? But
he's fine, but you need better than fine in the playoffs.
exactly. And that's what I'm trying to say. And you said it for me. The thing is, that if they can find someone in free agency or via trade, right? Maybe like John Gibson. If John Gibson has the type of year that he had last year, I feel like Edmonton could win a cup. But it would take, like I
Agreed.
said, some kind of out of body experience for McDavid and Draisaitl, like last year. And I think if they had a John Gibson, right, like the way he played this past season, maybe they would have been at least a little bit better, right? Maybe they would have made that final push to win the cup, right? You just can't have inconsistency at that position in a critical time like that. Those are my thoughts on it. But I'd be curious to see what they do next year. You know, you mentioned Bouchard. I wonder if they re-sign him, if they think he's worth the money, because he's restricted
So
free agent, and we know
the
about the
report
Oilers and
I
restricted free
s-
agents.
the report I see right now is that he only wants to play in Edmonton, and the numbers he sent was 8 years at 10 per, which I think is reasonable for him. Whether they
Especially
have
with
the
the
cap
cap
to do it or
going up,
not,
right?
yeah. Whether they have the cap or not, I don't know. I would assume they do, but yeah, I think that they'll be fine with Bouchard, and yeah, I mean, yeah. I just think honestly, in personally, my opinion, they didn't have enough depth scoring in these playoffs. Like not the playoffs in general, but like they had a lot. Like I don't know, because when they played like Vegas and they played these other teams that get to the final, Yanmark scoring, Jeff Skinner scored a goal in his second game. Like all this depth scoring came out that made everybody think, "Oh my God, Edmonton finally is going to do this because
Right.
McDavid's going to do McDavid things,
Hmm.
Draisaitl, and now they finally got guys behind them that can score." Evander Kane was good. Corey Perry looked like he was 25 again
Yeah.
in front of the net, scoring goals. And then it just went away in the final.
Exactly.
Yanmark was invisible. Frederick didn't do anything. Like obviously, guys were playing through injuries. We all know what Kachuk was playing towards a doctor off is whatever.
Yeah.
You know, Barkov had to get stitches glued into his hand, like but like injuries happen. There was just none. There was nothing. It
And
fell off.
yeah, it felt off for the second year in a row, right? Um, with the exception of the last half of the series, last year's Stanley Cup,
And that was more so McDavid
right?
dragging that team, kicking and screaming.
Exactly. And I feel bad for McDavid because to make it to this point, a second year in a row, that's got to be so tough. And to lose for a second year in a row against the exact same team, I feel for McDavid. I really do. And Draisaitl and all those guys who've been there for a while, right? They've built this team up to something special.
Right.
And, McDavid's got to win a cup, right? Eventually, at some point in his career, wherever that is.
Soon.
But the team is only getting older. They're only getting more expensive. We've seen them make moves in the past to try to get cheaper. If you're Edmonton, what do you do next year to try to get to that same exact point, right? In my opinion, you need to find that goaltender. Someone who can be consistent, someone who can show up in big moments like the Stanley Cup Finals. That's my opinion.
I think
It'll be very interesting.
if you're especially with McDavid being a free agent next year, and
Yes.
he's not being committal to an extension right now. He says
Mhm.
he's going to let time take out, which is understandable. If I'm Edmonton, I'm going all out this year. As the Rams said, F them picks. Um, they need to make some swings, some big swings. Um, because this might be the last year of this window. Because they lose Connor, who knows what Leon's going to be?
Right.
Who knows how longer they're going to have? You can't replace Connor McDavid. You can't do it. It's just not possible. You can try, but you're not going to be able to replace that kind of player and that kind of production.
My thing with that, and I
Um,
don't disagree with what you're saying, it's if they make those big swings, right, and then McDavid leaves, where's your draft capital to rebuild again, right? Because if it doesn't work out, how else are you going to get better? You need that draft capital to try to rebuild again, unless you want to trade Draisaitl on all of them and just blow the whole thing up. I don't know, but if they do make some big swings and it doesn't work out, and McDavid leaves in free agency, they're completely screwed because they have nothing to build off of then.
I think that if you show that you're trying to make that swing to win, I think McDavid will say. That's personal opinion. Even if they go to the Cup Finals and lose again next year,
I see.
I think if they show that they're gonna make the swings and they're make the moves to try to win, and they leave it up to the players to do it, I think McDavid will stay.
And then my thing is
I think
like,
he's one.
where do you find the cap room for that though? Like it'll be super super difficult. The Oilers are in a tough
I think
position, and they got to get younger too.
they are. Um, they'll figure it out. I mean, they got younger with Savoy. I'm sure he'll eventually come up at some point
Yeah, he
full
might be a
time.
solid bottom six guy.
But again, time will tell what they do. They need to get younger. They need to get more. They need to get young bottom six help, and they're trying. There's a rumored 8-year extension in place with. It's either 6 or 8. I think it's 8 years with Travis Frederick or
Yes.
Frederick
Yeah.
in place. That's then kind of worked upon. But I don't know. Edmonton just they ran into Florida again, and that's just a buzzsaw. It would have happened to Vegas. It would have happened to whoever else was going there. They're just a buzzsaw.
Right.
Dallas would have got smoked too.
I want to move
Just
on to the studs and duds for the Stanley
go ahead.
Cup playoffs, just in general. Did you have a stud for the playoffs, like in a whole, not including
Yeah.
the Panthers? Or I guess you can mention some Panthers, but any team outside of the Panthers, any studs that you had?
Um, I do. I didn't really have them listed, but outside of the Panther series with Andrei Svechnikov was fantastic in the playoffs this year. He was great for Carolina up until the Panther series, which I feel like we could say that of a lot of guys. Um, yeah, I just think that Svechnikov was really good. He pretty much dominated that entire Devils series in round one. Had a hat trick in I think game four. Is there game three or game four? Um, yeah, let's go look at the stats for Andrei Svechnikov. This year he had 8 goals, 12 points in 15 games. So, yeah, he was good. +4 in the playoffs is usually pretty good. Yeah, I mean, Svech was really good. Just and the Canes need help, but I think if they can get somebody, maybe Mitch Marner, probably Mitch Marner, it's gonna be Mitch Marner, to kind of help this top six, which they desperately need a forward. I think that Carolina and their cheesy admin who's working at Racing Canes right now. Oh, we have video proof. Um, uh,
Love that.
can maybe make it past the Eastern Conference Finals. But yeah, I think that Svechnikov had a really good playoffs. All things considered. So
Um, the one thing that I'll say about Dallas, right? Disappointing conference finals, but leading up to that point, I'd say if there was one person that really helped him get to that point, it was the guy who they swung big for at the deadline, and I think it worked out in the postseason.
Miko.
Miko, dude, Miko was fantastic in the postseason, specifically in rounds 1 and 2. Not so much the conference finals, but you know, I think he showed enough to say, okay, yeah, if this team ever makes a deep run again, I think he showed enough that he can be like a true, like valuable presence moving forward, right? It was a lot to give up, and it was a lot. I mean, he's getting paid a lot too, right? He's taking up a lot of space in the cap, but with the cap only going up, it was only a matter of time before he got his money. He was going to get it somewhere. Dallas gave it to him, and I think it paid off. We'll see down the line, but I'm labeling Mikko Rantanen as one of my studs for this past postseason. I think he did. I think he was really good.
John, who's your dud? I have to know. I must know.
My
Who's
dud
your
is the
dud for the
Toronto Maple
playoffs?
Leafs because hot take, if they had won Game 7, they're winning the cup. Say what you want.
Probably.
If they win Game 7,
Probably.
they're winning the cup. I'm telling you,
Probably.
Toronto was literally one win away, quite literally one win away from winning the cup. I had them as my cup winner, and I'm telling you, if Stolarz wasn't injured, if they had just gotten their shit together in Game 7, and they scored, 3 goals? That's all they needed or something? Something like that. I don't know. If they had just played one more game of hockey, you know that one meme where the guy sits in front of the camera, he's like, "Can you give me one more day? I'm not asking you for a week. I'm asking you for a month, but can you give me one more day?" The Toronto Maple Leafs were asked to do that, and they couldn't do it. Literally, could you just give me
Again.
one more day? And they couldn't do it, bro. Oh my gosh.
Again.
They were literally one game away, and I still swear if they had won Game 7, they're probably winning the whole cup. That's my opinion.
And I hate to be that guy, but even if the Stolarz didn't get hurt, they still would have lost to Florida. They still would have lost.
I'm not asking you for a month. I'm not asking you for a week, but can you give me one more day? And they couldn't do it. They couldn't do
Sean decided to go whole. I'm gonna go interior. I've got two. They both wear white and blue. They both play for that team. It's Austin Matthews and it's Mitch Marner.
it. Yeah.
Here's
Yep.
your stat of the day. How many goals did Jonah Gadjevich have in the second round of the playoffs
I
for Florida?
literally couldn't tell you.
He had one. Okay. How many goals did Mitch Marner and Austin Matthews have combined in the second round of the playoffs this year, Sean?
I think like maybe one.
They had one combined.
That's funny.
And
That's
Jonah
unbelievable.
Gadjevich is a fourth liner who does not score goals, and he played 2 less games than them.
And that's 16
that's
million
it.
a year combined between Marner and Matthews, I believe.
And it's gonna be more after
Yep.
July 1st.
Yeah. So unless you like being mid in the postseason, go sign Mitch Marner. I'm looking at you, Carolina.
Mitch Marner does not show up when it matters in the playoffs. He had 13 points in 13 games, but that does not tell the story. He doesn't play defensively. Shout out to EC Productions and Johnny and his spinny floaty backhand pass that led to a goal in Game 3 or Game 7 that lost him that game. Telling the team to wake the F up, and you're not even there. Matthews, the passenger's comment. I get where he's coming from, but you're also a passenger, bud. Another year where you don't show up in the playoffs and you need to show up.
I want to
William
go back.
Nylander's
That Mitch Marner thing, bro. Wake up. You of all people to tell the team to wake up. That is hysterical. Oh my gosh. Hypocrisy at its finest. I've never seen something so funny in my entire life. Wake up. Dude, I bet they didn't show the bench, but I bet the entire bench was like
laughing at him.
Like just staring like you know the one meme where Shaq is like the thumb, like, bro, look at this guy. Like, oh my gosh, that's so funny.
Right. And it's sad to say, out of the core 4, which is dead, it's gone. Marner's gone, and their little barn Tavares, he might be gone. It's gonna be the core 2.
Nah, I don't think Tavares is gonna leave. I think he'll sign back for cheap. I mean,
I don't think so either. But
might be surprised if he left. You know, if he leaves, there's a real problem. Plus,
yeah.
I honestly, the only thing I could really see him leaving for, right? Because I don't know how well he took it when they stripped him of his captaincy and gave it to Matthews.
Pretty well. He took it well.
He was doing a fine job, and they're like, "Yeah, we're gonna give it to the younger guy." And it's like, I don't know. I mean, Tavares was already. I know he was nearing. I mean, when I say he's nearing the end of his playing career, I mean he's not like nearing, but I mean he's quite close. He's closer, obviously, than most people on that team. So let him finish out and then give it to Matthews. I mean, to do that
Um,
to a guy who's probably close to retirement, I don't know. I just didn't see the point. I mean, like, give it to Matthews when he's 30. Like, I didn't get it.
I just would, but it's crazy to think out of the core four, William Nylander's the only guy that shows up.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That dude's a playoff performer.
Hmm.
He was excellent and against Florida, and he was good against. He was excellent against Ottawa. Um, just they're and they made a good move in getting rid of Shanahan. It's a start, but they need a lot of help, and they don't have a lot of cap space to do it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. They have a lot of needs, um, and a lot of it falls on scoring depth, which has been a consistent theme the last 7-8 years.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. No argument here. You're all yeah. I mean, it's the same thing we've been saying about the Maple Leafs. You know, they're I don't know what they have to do to fix
believe.
the team, but you know, they got to find some solutions pretty soon because I think the window's closing pretty fast.
Right. All right. So I've talked enough, especially talking over Sean. We're gonna let Sean take over here a little bit. He loves his coaches, so we're gonna go Sean's coaches corner here. New segment I just created. We got two new coaches hired, and one fired that we may or may not have said probably was going to get fired a couple weeks ago. So Sean, I'll let you take over for a little while. You can yap and I can shut up.
So I mentioned Mikko Rantanen is my stud, but obviously coming into the this little coaching carousel segment we're going to talk about here, we got to talk about my other dud besides the Maple Leafs. It's Peter DeBoer. Props to you. I'm clapping it up for Aiden because I didn't think I'd sit here and say that Peter DeBoer would no longer be the head coach of the Dallas Stars. Yet here we are. He's sitting on his couch watching from his living room now. I don't know who's going to pick him up. I don't. Who knows if he's even going to be an assistant coach? He might wait out a year and then become a head coach. But after what he said about Jake Ottinger, they actually did fire him, and I am a little surprised. I thought they'd handle it like men, but as Aiden says, that's not the case in hockey. And he was right. He was completely right. And I didn't see it, and it happened. I can't believe they actually fired DeBoer. Now the question becomes, who can you find that's better than DeBoer? Who can you find that's going to lead you to the Cup Finals? Because I thought that guy was DeBoer. He was going to break through eventually, in my opinion. I thought they were going to get it done maybe next year. They had the team to do it. They have the talent to do it. Now you got to find someone who's even better. And I think if they just handled the situation better, if DeBoer hadn't said what he said, I cannot believe that he would just say something like that, and then that cost you your job. Something like that, right? You say something like that and it costs you your job. I mean, how idiotic is that? I
I
can't
can
believe
put it
that.
in plain terms. It's either you lose your franchise goaltender, which you can't find another one of because they don't grow on trees, or you can find a head coach with a core that's already kind of at that point that you just kind of be like, okay, babysitter, which is what we're probably going to do. Who that is, I don't know, but that's pretty much the thinking, and that's usually how it goes in sports and hockey. You're not going to throw your star player under the bus without some kind of repercussion, and the repercussion was his job, especially with his track record in the playoffs. Not very great. Like he's gotten out of the Western Conference Finals once in his career, and he lost to Pittsburgh in 2016 with the Sharks in 6 games in the Cup final. But other than that, he really hasn't done anything newsworthy in the playoffs. So I understood why they did it, but as you said, the big question is who do they hire, and I don't know who's really available for them to hire.
Right.
Um, I guess that's a question that Jim Nill and company will have to address along with their limited cap and needs of re-signing guys like Ben and others.
Please don't look at Mitch Love. Please leave Mitch Love alone. I'm begging you, please leave Mitch Love alone, please.
I don't think they'll go for a guy like that. I think they're gonna go for a guy that has experience. You're not gonna like this.
Who is out there though? Who is out there?
You're not
Pierre
gonna like
Laviolette.
this. But that's one. That's one of them. And the other one I could think of maybe Boudreaux, Bruce Boudreaux. He's the other guy.
Oh my god.
They have a tendency the first year to have a really good year, and that's all that Dallas really needs. Truthfully, because they need one guy for one good year, and if that's what and that's usually what those two guys give is one really good year. So that's all I'm saying.
Anybody they hire at this point is not going to be better than DeBoer.
I agree.
I
I
get the
100%
reasoning
agree.
for firing him. I get it. I just wish they had handled the situation a little better. When I say they, I mean DeBoer and Ottinger. And I can't believe DeBoer. At the time I was like, yeah, whatever. He said what he said. It was dumb, but now it's just idiotic because it costs you your job. You may have won the Stanley Cup next year, and what you said just cost you your job. Yeah. I'd be very curious to see what the Stars do. For those of you wondering what Bruce Boudreau is doing right now, he's an analyst on Monumental Sports Network for the Washington Capitals here at my local TV station, and I love Bruce Boudreau. So it'd be very sad to see him go a second time because before the Canucks had hired him, he was doing the same exact thing. So I hope Bruce stays. I love hearing his insight. But moving on to the Boston Bruins hiring, they hired Marco Sturm, um, who he actually played for Boston, I believe you said, from 2005
Yep.
to 2010. Yep. And then it looks like he retired with the Panthers in 2012. He coached the Ontario Reign from 22 to 25, the AHL team for the, who'd you say it was? I think it was the Oilers or the
Ontario Reign, LA Kings.
LA Kings. Thank you. And the Bruins just picked him up as their new head coach. Now, the Bruins have nothing to play for next season. This makes sense. If they think this guy's good, then go for it. I've never heard of him. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of him. But, if they think the guy can develop young guys, then by all means, good hire. We'll see how it plays out. But Bruins have nothing to play for. I don't think they could have gone wrong with any hire they made, because they won't be competing for some time. I think you see it the same way as I do.
Uh, Boston's an interesting case. They've got cap space. They've got a core,
Do
but
they though?
they need
They have
they have
Pasternak.
Pasternak. Zaka was good. If they can re-sign Geeky, they still got McAvoy. I mean, they still got Lindholm locked up long term. Both Lindholms locked up long term. Um, they still got a decent core, but they need a lot of help if they want to compete. And I
Right.
personally think that they need to rebuild. This
I
it's
think that's what
if this
they've
is
already started doing though. Got rid of
I hope
Marchand, got
so.
rid of Coyle. I think they're already doing that.
And Carlo.
Yeah.
I hope that this isn't like a mini retool. We're just gonna sell off guys that have like a year or expiring contract. I hope this is like, okay, we're gonna try to resign some of the guys, but we're gonna kind of go in a direction where we're trying to not get younger because Boston desperately needs it,
Yeah.
and try to get better and take a couple years away from the playoffs just to kind of reset. Every team goes through it. Boston's been great for a decade and a half. It feels like. Um,
My
I think it's
assumption
their
was sorry.
time. I just think it's their time to start, retooling, rebuilding this roster for Pasternak as he kind of gets into his prime and then somewhat into his twilight years.
My assumption was after all the moves they made at the deadline, they would come into this offseason, and I just assumed we were going to see it next week. They're going to move off more pieces and just fully rebuild. That's what I thought. But maybe that's not going to happen, and maybe they are just retooling. But we'll see. Only one way to tell if it's actually good or not is, in a year from now if it doesn't work out.
I'm a Sabres fan. I hope it doesn't work out, but that's not the here or there.
And then moving on to the next head coaching hiring, the last one that we're going to talk about. And then we'll talk about whoever the Stars hire, hopefully, maybe in the next episode, but that's got to come soon. The Pittsburgh Penguins hired Dan Muse, former Rangers assistant coach, as their new head coach. Not too much to say about this one. Once again, I think they're in the same position as the Bruins. Elliot Freeman reported that literally everyone is trying to win except for the Penguins. The Penguins are in a full rebuild, no doubt about that. They have
As
Malkin
they
and
should be.
Crosby. Yes, as it should be. I'm glad too. I hate the Penguins. Crosby, Crosby's in the last few years of his career, and he's spending it in a rebuild, and I feel bad for him. Maybe they ship him off. I doubt they're going to, but that would be so funny if they did. Man, that would be so good. But it's not going to happen. I can only dream of that happening. So they hire a guy, Dan Muse, who is going to lead them through this rebuild. Like I said, with the Bruins, probably couldn't go wrong with anyone they hired, because of the situation they're in. So we'll see how Dan does. Maybe he develops a player as well, and maybe they're a couple years ahead of where they thought they were going to be. But like I said at the deadline special a couple months ago, Dubas, he had a rough first season as a Penguins GM, but say what you want, he made the right move to blow up this roster at the deadline. It was time. You know, the thing that I laughed about with the Penguins was they can never go one direction, right? It was always either try to compete or and they would always refuse to blow it up, right? I mean, he's cleaning up after Hextall's mess, and what he should have done when he first got there was just trade everyone. They should have just
Right.
they should have just started the rebuild then. He waited a year. He's finally making the right move. Um, Kyle Dubas is in the right to finally rebuild. So we'll see what happens. But it was 1 year too late, but at least he's finally doing it. So he made the right move. But we'll see how
Yeah.
Dan Muse does. The one thing I don't like is they hired my guy from Hershey as the assistant head coach, Todd Nelson. Todd Nelson's the new assistant coach in Pittsburgh, and that makes me very mad. He was great in Hershey, two-time Calder Cup champion, and I hope if they ever fire Dan Muse that they don't hire Nelson as the interim or anywhere else, because man, I really like Todd Nelson. Dang, that stinks. But oh well, what can you do? Pittsburgh hopefully will be terrible for the next few years. Um, I know we talked about it before we got on, but Malkin, how do you think they're handling the Malkin situation? Because he's coming up on the last year of his deal. He's only getting worse. He's only getting older, and reports are saying that this is going to be his last season in Pittsburgh, no matter what. Um, he's a franchise legend, and they're kind of just telling him, "Yeah, after this season, you're done, buddy. We don't care what you've done in the past. You're out of here. So retire, go find a new team." So I don't know. I just
I
think it's
think
really
it's
weird how they're handling the whole situation. They're basically like letting him know, like, "Yeah, this is your last season, and then hit the streets, pal."
I think it's kind of shitty, but it, you got to move on at some point.
Right,
I
but
know
in
Sid
this
loves
manner,
him.
though, in this manner, franchise legend, like, yeah, you're done.
Oh, it's not great, not great. I mean, it is what it is. Sometimes you just got to move on. And Pittsburgh's in a spot where Kyle Dubas has absolutely no like attachment to Malkin, or Letang. I mean, Sid, you're not going to treat Sid like garbage. He's one of the greatest of all time.
Yeah.
But again, like it is what it is. Unfortunately, um, but yeah, it sucks for Gino, and it's going to suck for Penguins fans. But I'm sure that they'll figure something out, and they'll probably be like, hey, they'll figure it out. We can retire as a Penguin at the end of the year, go to the KHL, play a couple of years, and retire
Hmm.
out there. But I mean, yeah, I mean Pittsburgh needs to rebuild terribly. It's like Detroit in their playoff years, and it set them back years. They've not made the playoffs since like 2016, and they've rebuilding since then.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like it's going to have that same type of thing because they don't have like the prospects in the system that can just come in and replace the production that they're going to have. So they need to full rebuild, and the next few draft classes are going to be really good for them to do that. So hopefully that they can but they can suck enough the right way to keep Sid happy, but yet also get good draft picks and prospects to rebuild this team here in the future.
Aiden, any surprises as far as the NHL awards? Anything that stood out to you?
Yes, Hart Trophy. Connor Hellebuyck won the Vezina and the Hart, which is very rare to see a goaltender win the Hart.
Hmm. Pretty cool,
Um,
but man,
it's
man.
cool, but I
Yeah.
was very surprised. I'm not upset about it at all. I think he deserved it. He was great, but I was not my first pick. To win the Vezina. Leon Draisaitl finished second. Kucherov finished third. I would have probably given it to Kucherov. He had a fantastic year, but Hellebuck was just on another level this year. He was excellent. So, um, I mean, yeah, he's the first goaltender since Carey Price in 2014-15 to win the Hart. He's the fourth in NHL history in the expansion era to do it. So I mean, great for him. The Calder Trophy, best rookie, went to Canadiens defenseman Lane Hudson. No surprise there. He was absolutely fantastic for them this year.
Yeah. Who does his
Helped
brother
lead
play
that
for?
team.
Who does his brother play for?
I don't know. I forgot. It's not like he was involved for a
Mm.
trade for Beck
Oh.
Malmsteen at all.
Cole
Just
Hudson,
think,
baby. Cole Hudson. Let's go. I hope
it,
Cole's just
it,
as
make,
good, if not better, than his brother.
it makes me sick that Mason Marshman, who's better than Beck Malmsteen, went for a third and a fourth, and we traded Beck Malmsteen for a second. We traded for Beck. We traded
Thank
for
you,
second.
Buffalo. Thank you. Thank you, Buffalo.
Thank Kevin Adams and his
Thank you,
stupid.
Kevin
Not
Adams.
never gonna happen again because we got Yarm. Stupid shit.
What at the time when it happened, I thought Beck Mallenstein, I thought he'd be a good player, but for a second, that was a head scratcher. And then we turned the second into Cole Hudson. That was an absolute hit.
You
Thank
thought
you,
it was a
Kevin
head
Adams.
scratcher. I was throwing my phone against the wall saying, "Why do I like this team anymore?"
But the Beck
I
Mallenstein trade? Oh yeah, I thought that was
yeah.
a head scratcher.
I was like, "What the flip are
Yeah,
we doing?"
second rounder.
Um,
Yeah.
so Kucherov won the Lindsay. It's most outstanding player voted on by the Players Association. He deserved it. Kucherov was absolutely
Absolutely.
fantastic
Yep.
this year. I believe that the Norris went, which is the best defenseman. I believe that went to Cale Makar this year. Um, pretty sure it did. It did. Cale Makar, him, Zach Werenski, and Quinn Hughes were all finalists. It's the, I believe, second time he's won it. Yes. I think he deserved it. Maybe Werenski I could have given it, but he had 30 goals. He's the first 30-goal scorer as a defenseman since.
Yeah, Werenski was
Former
absolutely incredible, and I think the Blue Jackets next year are going to be a problem.
Cale Makar is the first 30-goal scorer as a defenseman since former Capital. That's where you say the answer, Capitals fan.
No comment.
You don't know who it is?
Wait, say it again.
Cal McCarr is the first 30-goal scorer as a defenseman since this former Capital,
I don't know.
Mike Green, in
Oh
2008,
yes, it was
2009.
Mike Green. Dang it. Yes. Dang it.
um,
Okay, yeah.
yeah, McCarr had a pretty good year. I think that's like the notable awards. Selke, Barkov won the Selke. Shocker. It's his third Selke. He's just fantastic.
Yep.
I think that's the big ones. Jack Adams went to Spencer Carberry, as he should. Led the Capitals' the
Absolutely.
best record in the East. He was fantastic.
The thing about Spencer Carberry is that, look, yeah, the Capitals probably like didn't have the flashiest roster, but compared to guys like Winnipeg and Dallas and all them, like, right, like they're all supposed to compete. But the Capitals, looking at that team at the start of the season, if you had told me that team was going to be first in the East, yeah, I mean, I think everyone would have said you were crazy. So what Spencer Carberry did was absolutely incredible. He led that team of, I mean, basically, I don't want to say nobodies, but they definitely weren't the most talented team on paper. So for Spencer Carberry to do that,
A,
it was
a
incredible.
bunch of
To lead them to,
unknowns.
yeah,
Bunch of unknowns.
for him to lead them to where they were, to where they got, yeah, it was incredible. So I do think Spencer Carberry should have won the Jack Adams. I think that was very deserved. No bias whatsoever.
All right. Well, we're gonna go to Aiden's favorite part of the show. It's usually the ending. We're going to random player
Oh
of the
man,
day.
I think I got you this time. I'm not gonna lie. I think I got you.
If you know your hockey history, you should have this one. I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna give Sean his. This player, this winger, was drafted first round, 10th overall in 1988 by the Winnipeg Jets. He played with Winnipeg up until 1995, where he was traded to the Anaheim Mighty Ducks, where he played with them in his first stint until 2000, 2001, to where he was traded to San Jose, and he played there until 2003. He signed with Colorado in 2003-04, where he spent 1 year, and he finished his career in Anaheim in 2014.
Is this?
He scored
My
1,457
camera keeps
points. He
falling.
is a hockey Hall of Famer.
Is this Timu?
Yes, it is.
Oh!
Shut up, my stepdad Jeff. He picked it. This is his favorite player growing up. He loved Teemu Selanne. It is indeed the Finnish Flash, Teemu Selanne,
I'm shocked. Yeah, all
who
right, I got Timu Solani.
who is tied with Alexander the Great McGillney for most goals in a season with 76.
When you said traded from Jets, I had a feeling. I had a feeling I'd be able to get it.
The original Winnipeg Jets, who are now the Utah Mammoth. Scary to think.
Yeah, it's weird. Utah Mammoth.
It's scary to think.
Utah Mammoth. Oh man.
Utah Mammoth. No longer Utah Hockey Club. It's Utah Mammoth.
Pretty cool though. I wonder if we're gonna see a third stint of the Atlanta Thrashers. That'd be pretty cool.
Yes, it's going to happen eventually, but we're not going to talk about it until it's official. So
Yeah, no, I'd be excited because I remember watching them growing up.
Same.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
we need a good Thrashers team. The world will be better with a good Thrashers team.
And a good Coyotes team. Maybe we'll see that down the line, but not anytime soon.
We need a Thrashers Sabres Eastern Conference final.
That'd be funny.
The
Here's
world would
mine.
heal.
I'm actually excited for mine because I think I'm gonna get you. I think. So
Okay.
this guy, I'm not gonna say his position. I'll say it if you want me to, but I'll just give you the information first.
Not yet.
So he was a second round pick in 2019 by the Avalanche. Okay, the Avalanche. He was traded to Anaheim with a second round pick in the 2023 draft for John Mason. He played 56 games with Anaheim this season. He had 4 goals and 9 assists. He made his debut in 2022 with Anaheim. No, wait. He made his debut in 2023 with Anaheim. Sorry.
Defenseman?
Wait, what? This says, yes, he's a defenseman.
He was drafted by the Avs?
Okay, sorry. The trade was in 2022. Yes, for a pick in 2023. And he made his debut in 2023 with Anaheim.
The Jackson Lacombe?
No.
That's a good shot.
No. You want to keep guessing?
Lacombe. Did he play at all? Obviously played last year.
Yeah. He played 3 games in 23. 2022,
Played 3
2023.
That was his last appearances?
Yeah.
Has he been in the AHL?
Those were his first appearances. And then, like I said, he played
first.
56 games last year as a defenseman with the Ducks. He had 13 points.
It's not Lacombe. It's not Mitkov. It's not Zellweger. Who was the defenseman that they had that they traded? It's not Barons. I think Barons is still.
This guy's a complete no name. I was gonna say I'd be shocked if you get this. I had to get you at some
Obviously,
point.
it's a no name.
So this is. Let me tell you.
Not yet.
Oh man.
He's not Josh Mahora. He was in Florida. I'm gonna kick myself. I feel like I should know this, and I'm gonna be very upset when you tell me.
No, I don't.
You
think
got me. Good shit.
I don't think you're gonna. I don't think you're gonna get it.
No,
It's.
good
I don't
stuff.
know how to say his last name. I might say it wrong. I think it's Drew Hellison. Is that how you say it?
Drew Hellison.
Yeah, Drew Hellison.
Yeah, I forgot about him. That's a really good pull. Yeah, Hellison. Yeah, he was solid in the bottom six for them last year. Yeah, so Hellison's a good one. Yeah, I didn't realize that Hellison was drafted by Colorado. Yeah,
Nice.
He's gonna be a nice. He's gonna be a good top six piece for them. Yeah, Hellison, good one. Good pull. Yeah, Hellison's good.
I say John. I meant to say Josh Manson.
Yeah,
I said Josh.
I know who you meant.
Okay, yeah, my
like
fault.
John-
Yeah, I'm blind. Sorry. Anyway, that's the end of our
Josh
show.
Gibson?
Aiden, you wanna? Yeah, Josh. Josh. Oops.
Josh,
All right, yeah.
John Masson, and Josh Gibson.
Oh
Yeah,
man.
no, Sean.
I do know
finally
who
got me
Manson
today.
is. Thank you. Thank you very much.
But yeah, Sean said, well, thank you guys for tuning in our episode. We gave you a little bit longer one today. Stay tuned. We're gonna have a lot of content coming out. We're gonna have pre-draft. We're
Yes.
gonna have draft
NHL
content.
mock draft coming soon.
We're gonna have predictions. Maybe I could talk Sean into a day one free agency live stream. Maybe we'll see. But if not,
If I don't have
content.
work, I would definitely love to do that.
If not, we're gonna have content that week, the day after, a couple days later, whatever. We're gonna have it, and maybe watch out. Might have some interviews coming up, but a lot of fun stuff here at the Afterthought Sports stuff, and obviously James and Ryan killing it with their basketball. Football's coming upon us. I'm sure that you're looking to talk baseball. You can find it there as well.
And shout out
But
Austin.
for
Austin's
here-
doing a heck of a
yeah,
job
shout
on
out
the buffer room.
Austin. He's doing a great job with that and all the shorts, all the funny stuff. Even the guy that's working at Raising Canes right now that made people mad. Thank you. We love it. We're right. You're wrong. It's fine. But
Funny.
thank you for all the content. We love making this for you guys. You're the guys. You guys keep us going, especially through the off season where it's kind of a lull and we're kind of just doing our own thing. But once again, guys, thank you for tuning in. We can't wait to see you soon. For Aiden Showtime's Calkins, Sean, you can finish this one out.
Dude, shout out Austin Townley because, man, I got to tell you, he's probably in a rough place right now, man. Katie just got traded. Austin's a huge Suns fan. He's the only Suns
Poor
fan I
guy.
know. And yeah, this poor guy, he's in no mood to talk right now. But I guarantee you, he's going to get a lot of views on that podcast.
We love you, Austin. We love you, Austin.
All right, we will see you guys for our NHL draft analysis later this week. Catch you guys later. Thanks for watching.